So good afternoon, everyone. I'm here with my dear friend, Professor Greg Whyte, OBE. We'll never forget the OBE, Greg.
Never, don't.
And we're going to talk to everyone a little bit about you, Performer, and our passion behind this brand. So first of all, how are you, Greg?
I'm very well, actually. Yeah, I mean, I'm actually prepping for a big extreme triathlon in Chile in a month's time. So I'm just in the middle of a really big. Yesterday, I did a half Ironman in training. So yeah, I'm fine, although a bit tired.
I should say that puts me in my place when I thought I had a hard 10K yesterday, and that was about as far as it goes.
You'll probably go faster than me, though, mate. To be fair.
Maybe we'll leave it there.
Definitely. I hope you were.
So let's crack into it, and because I know people want to know a little bit about our background, and it really does go back many years. Actually, the first time I can remember meeting you was 1987. It was the Modern Pentathlon Junior National Championships, which took place at Wantage Leisure Centre in Oxfordshire.
God.
And I remember my first experience of you was when you grabbed the microphone during the fencing event and took over the place.
But my voice, though, mate. I mean, I am, as my children say, Daddy, you are musically talentless. So, but you know what? I remember that so well. They were good days, weren't they? That was actually my last year as a junior, 87. And yeah, I mean, God, it's a long time ago though, now, isn't it?
It really is. And
right.
How many years as a junior did you do? And were you international for those years?
Yeah,
or
do you know what? That's an interesting one, because I came into modern pentathlon really. My brother came in before me. He came in sort of around 84, 85, and I came in 86, and I did storming first half of the season in 86. To the point where I got selected for the World Junior Championships that year.
Wow.
1986 in Montecatini, Italy. I never forget it. What an experience that was. It was amazing. Yeah. So and actually, I was only 2 years a junior because the UIPM changed the junior category and they brought it back. So I'd lost out on a year as a junior, and then went straight into the senior ranks. So it was it was a great time. I had a great. I think I was 10th at World Juniors that year. And then in 87, I then made it onto the senior Olympic squad for 88, wow. The 88 Olympics. So it was a barnstorming start to a career, to be honest with you. It was great.
That's very, very different from my experience, when I think I came last in pretty much every competition I did for the first 2 seasons, before finally coming through in about 89. And going to Junior Worlds in 1990, where
where was that?
I think that was Switzerland, 1990. Switzerland or Poland. I remembered it. I did 3 Junior Worlds, 2 as traveling 4th man, then the final one as the captain of the team and counting. But a great junior experience traveling the world and competing against you many times as a junior, because I never competed in a team with you at that point in time.
No, that's right. But pentathlon's a funny sport, isn't it? Because it is much like any multidisciplinary sport. You look at triathlon now, but heptathlon, decathlon, etc. There's a huge amount of respect within the sport, because obviously you're trying to be the best modern pentathlete you can be, but within those 5 disciplines, invariably there is always somebody else who's going to beat you in that particular discipline. And so there's an element of respect, I think, that goes through multi-event sports, because you might be the best modern pentathlete in the world, but actually you're midway down the range in the swim, halfway down in fencing, and you see excellence around you in various different events, which I think is what makes multi-event sports really, really special.
I totally agree. I mean, one of the take-homes that I've always had from pentathlon, even when I've had incredible competitions and won national championships and competed really well internationally, is I look back at the score, I look back at the event and go, there's so much more I could have improved upon. there's so much I could have done on at least one or two of the disciplines, which would make a considerable jump forwards. But at the end of the day, I won the event or placed the event and was very pleased with the outcome. But there was always room for improvement.
That's what's great, though, isn't it? I mean, that's what keeps you coming back in a sense. And I think to some extent, what's nice about that, it's interesting. I always talk to people about like training, and we were just talking about, training for this triathlon in December. But I just remember as a modern pentathlete, I was training 40 hours a week across 5 disciplines. It was effectively a full-time job, and I was working alongside that as well. It's amazing the amount of work that it takes in order to hone each individual discipline. And then, of course, as you say, you come to competition, and there are always elements in that. I don't think I think I might have had 1 or 2 perfect competitions where I looked at. I remember winning nationals in 94, 93. I won nationals in 93. And I remember looking back on that, I think it was probably close to the perfect competition for me. But my that's across a very long career where you're constantly searching for that perfect competition. Very rarely does it occur.
Yeah, very much so. And actually, I also remember 93 as almost the perfect storm for myself as well, because that was the year I won the juniors by an enormous points margin, over 700 points, and actually finished behind yourself and the legend that is Richard Phelps. The pair of you outscored me, but I actually beat our teammate from the next year, Graham Brookhouse, into 4th place, which started the waves to roll, I believe, but also got me invited on some great training camps down the line with you guys, where we went to Lanzarote, and of course the brilliant experience of my life, I still remember with so much passion and love, was when we had 3 weeks in Tallahassee, Florida, preparing for the World Championships in 1994, when of course we competed together. And what a year that was in Sheffield. That was really something very, very special. It is interesting, isn't it? Because you remember those moments because they are in multidisciplinary sports, particularly something like pentathlon, where there's so many things that can go wrong. Effectively, you draw the wrong horse, you have a bad day in the fence, all those sort of things. But those moments, winning the silver medal at World Championships in '94, you never forget those moments, and they stand out even higher because of because they come along so rarely. I mean, that was a great year, and Tallahassee was definitely, to my mind, and it still remains the fact that I love training. I absolutely love training, and I think I probably enjoy training as much, if not more, than racing and competing. And I think that's certainly a bonus. That's probably kept for you and I'm sure you're the same, but that's what's kept us going. Me now into my mid-50s, still doing it because actually I love the training. I just love doing it. Yeah, no, I'm very much with you there. I enjoy the social aspect of training with my team. I still enjoy a really good smash fest in the session, and really putting the work in and getting gutsy with it. For me, I love the goal. I love the achievement that comes with staying in the sport of pentathlon for me, and and the sport of biathlon and triathlon and the different elements of modern pentathlon. It represents a goal, something to work towards, and something that I find very motivational is to have an end result. But I really do love training, and I really look forward to winter season when there is no pressure from competing at very, very high level, but you can just get stuck in with the guys and the girls and really enjoy a training session. Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting because obviously we're talking about you perform, and I think to some extent it's that, people often say, what has changed as you get older? And I think for me, the big thing, I mean, classically, I did the 70.3, the half Ironman yesterday, and today I am still battered. I mean, battered. And I'm sort of thinking, do I go out and do a session? I'm supposed to have a hill session today, and it's just the recovery. When we first met, back in the 80s, you would smash out 3 or 4 sessions in a day and get up the next morning and smash out another 3 or 4 sessions. And I think that to some extent that's what underpins our move towards you perform was a product which was specifically targeted, very bespoke, in part, because obviously it does an awful lot of other things, but in part around that recovery and around maintenance of that connective tissue, which is what really, we all find as we age, Achilles, muscle recovery, joint surfaces, all of those things are really where you start to really feel it as you start to age. And I think, to some extent, I look back on it with a little bit of sadness because I wish we'd have had it earlier, because it would have reduced the potential of those problems occurring in the first place. And so, not only of what we've done is develop a supplement range, which is really important for people as they are moving on in age and still trying to do what they do, but equally for younger athletes, it's actually about making sure that you put the bedrock in place upon which you're going to build your future career. So, I mean, it's been a great journey, the UPerform journey, isn't it?
Very much so. I mean, we've stayed friends ever since, we started pentathlon, and even when we retired from pentathlon, we've stayed friends. So that for me to work with you on this opportunity, on this brand is absolutely exceptional, because it brings us back together in a much more regular basis, than where we were before the brand existed. But you're absolutely right. I mean, we share that passion of training and competing still. And one thing that I've noticed, especially prior to UPerform launching and actually getting my hands on the supplements myself, is the fact that I get injured more, I get broken more, and the sessions that used to be 10 to a penny just don't occur anymore. And you really have to pick and choose your sessions as you get towards an older athlete. And it's all about training clever in order to avoid injury, rather than being able to actually go and smash the session out that we actually really want to do.
Yeah. And it's interesting when you look at the evolution of it. I remember bringing in with one of our competitors, a guy called Dave O'Brien. I'm sure you remember him. Back in the late 80s, the first sports supplement into the UK, and it was a carbohydrate supplement. And I just read if you have a look at how the landscape has changed when it comes to nutrition and sports nutrition. I mean, I was with the swim squad the other day, and we were chatting about this, that at that time in the 80s, stroke 90s, you weren't allowed to take a bottle onto poolside. It was seen as a weakness to take on fluid during a session. These are 2-hour-long sessions, incredibly hot environments. And yet now what you see, I mean, I see what the athletes do now. So the senior performance squad, I'm at Wickham District, and they've got an incredible squad, one of the Swim England performance hubs. And the swimmers are on poolside half an hour before the session starts because they're doing land work. I remember back in our day, you turned up literally on the dot and dived straight in and kicked off with 6 1500s flat out. I mean, it's just that yes, this without any shadow of doubt, sports science, obviously that's what I spent my life in, but sports science has changed, sports medicine has changed. But within that, for me, the landscape of sports nutrition now, and what we're still doing is we're still evolving and still developing, and UPerform, without any shadow of doubt, is unique. What we've done with collagen has created a unique supplement which is very, very specific, very bespoke, and much of that has actually been allowed because of the developments of the technology to actually produce collagen that is consumable. So it's an interesting process, isn't it?
Very much so, and I think that's the really interesting thing. If we look back prior to 2003, collagen supplementation didn't actually exist. It was only in 2003 that the concept of actually having an edible collagen peptide actually came to the world. And I think even from 2003 right through to 2015, it's almost been an unregulated, for sure, industry, but an undefined industry in the fashion that there was very, very simple collagen peptides. There was one peptide that fits all, and that's simply not the right tool for the right job. And where UPerform has really come to the forefront is now that looking at the different collagen peptides to deliver different results within the human body, whether it's an organ such as the skin or connective tissue or ligaments, tendons, and of course cartilage. They all require slightly different tweaks, slightly different collagen peptides. And we are literally changing the game as we progress forwards with UPerform. And there's many other collagen brands that profess to sit in our industry or do a sports supplement. But firstly, they're not informed sports tested, which is something that is very passionate between both of us, we'll come back to. But secondly, they're still pushing this one collagen fits all, which is simply not correct.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, that informed sport piece for me, I think is so important, Jimbo. And for anybody who doesn't really understand it, is that, you know, back in the early 2000s, I was director of research at the British Olympic Medical Centre. And it was at the point where there were a number of athletes testing positive who were saying that it was because of contaminated supplements. And so the IOC undertook a big study, looked at a huge number of supplements, and actually saw that over 80% of them were contaminated. We did something similar. And at that time, I approached a company called HFL over in Newmarket, who were one of the IOC testing labs. Most of their work they did was in equine sports. But we looked at the ability to actually test supplements. And since that time, that has now evolved into this process where supplements are now tested, batch tested. So basically, each individual supplement comes from a much bigger batch. You test that batch, and therefore you can be sure that the supplements that derive from that batch are not contaminated. And so what you can be absolutely sure of is that they're contaminant free. That's really important, particularly for athletes who are tested under the WADA code. And I think the other thing actually is that as you and I well know, is that the supplement industry is fairly loosely regulated because it's seen as food rather than seen as drug. And I think assurance of quality is something that you and I are incredibly passionate about. You know, what we want is what it says on the tin should actually be in the product. And I think, sadly, many supplements simply don't adhere to that because it's about making as much money as you can, and cheap ingredients mean you make more money. And I think the one thing that you and I have done and that you've performed really stands for is it stands for both care and for quality. We care about the person that's taking it to make sure that it's not contaminated. And we really care about quality to make sure that what you are taking is absolutely the best so that you get the best results at the end of it. So for me, the whole informed sport piece is really the sort of the flagship of what we do.
Very much so. And just to explain to people how in depth this informed sport process is, it's not just about testing the powder or the supplement in a capsule. We go as far as looking at the packaging. So is there any potential impurities in the packaging that the product has to go into? And then we are testing batch by batch as production and a full spectrum across that batch as well. And also looking at random tests as well from people we supply, so that the product that people utilize at home, they can be absolutely 100% sure of the pedigree of that product. So if it's got that you perform informed sports tested logo on it, athletes can absolutely depend on that product to be 100%.
Yeah, I mean, and it is so important, isn't it, James? And I think also, you know, the fact is that when you are, and athletes have to see this, it's an investment in self, is the way I always look at this thing. And I think that if you are going to invest in supplements, what you want to do is make sure that they are the best that you can invest in. And I think that's absolutely crucial. So what we pride ourselves on is that we provide the best. And I think that's absolutely key. And we're really passionate about it. It actually does matter to me that individuals take our product and improve. Every individual. That really matters to me, you know. And I think that's fundamentally what drives us in what we've done so far, doesn't it?
Yeah, very much so. And the interesting thing is we touched upon it earlier, is about the right tool for the right job. Now, we're utilizing 3 different collagen peptides in the product range at the moment. And that's not to say that's the final 3. We could expand that even further down the line with more science and more evidence that comes out. And of course, we love to share the science and evidence. It's on our website. But, you know, we're going to look at the different concepts of the actual products themselves. So we've got these 3 primary collagen products at the moment in time in the range. We've got these signature gels, which have simply, in the last 18, 20 months, become the must-have recovery supplement on the marketplace is absolutely exploded. We set out to make a brand that would be appropriate for absolutely everyone. But I think what's happened very, very quickly is that the athletes of Great Britain are now actually, crossing the world. I know we're shipping into teams in Real Madrid, in Spain, for example. I know there's some of the top world's triathletes across Europe are requesting and purchasing products. But these products are groundbreaking, as you say. And we're looking at the different peptides. So we've got 2 collagen peptides in that signature gel, which has literally rocketed in demand, and to the point where we can only just keep up with manufacturing at the moment in time, which is a great problem to have. But clearly, we've got to maintain the quality of the product. And then we've got that incredible protein, which uses a different collagen peptide again, so more focused towards your cartilage, and of course supplying you the whey as well. And it's a really high percentage whey. It's an 80% plus whey protein. And then finally, that third product, which we've got the pure collagen, which is the Fortigel collagen in the tablets. So 3 different collagen peptides across 3 different products. So 2 in the gel, and then that third peptide in the protein and the tablets. And I think that because we are targeting different areas of the body, different functions of the body, but also with that diversity of product, that's what really makes the brand stand alone as something really special.
100% it does, Jimbo. So for me, I think with all these things, the proof is in the pudding, look, I'm at my desk now, and this is not staged, but here are my collagen gels, and they are open because actually I use them on a daily basis. I think, it's one of those things. I think leading by example is absolutely key for this. I think without any shadow of doubt, to my mind, the whey protein with collagen is absolutely the best on the market, without any shadow of a doubt. And again, particularly after those really hard sessions, it is absolutely instrumental in my recovery process to support regeneration of muscle, to effectively support the damage that I've inflicted during that session, principally to make sure that I get the best adaptation possible, but also to make sure that I'm in the best place possible for the next session. Because it is about, to my mind, I look at supplements, I look at YouPerform as being a great time management tool. Is that I am time strapped because I've got a family, I've got a job, etc., etc. But the great thing about the supplements is that I know that I'm doing my very best to optimize the time that I've got to train, and also optimize the recovery so that I can then optimize my next training session. And so for me, it is about leading by example. This is not you and I sitting here saying, oh yeah, use our products because they're fantastic. We use these products. Everybody I work with, I've got 2 big challenges for children in need coming up this week and next week. I'm using YouPerform on those. I've got athletes that I'm looking after all over the world, and I'm using YouPerform with those guys. So the point is that actually the evidence is the fact that we actually use it, and it makes a difference both to us and the people that we work with.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, we are both testament to that. I've had possibly the best season in my sport that is almost possible. I mean, almost the perfect season. 6 major competitions. That's the British, the European, and the World Championships. And I've come home with 5 golds and a silver as the oldest man in the age group. That's the big fact, is the oldest man in my age group. It isn't the age group is a decade wide. So I'm racing guys who are 39 years old, and I'm giving them 10 years of age head start, but still managed to perform. We've all been through this global pandemic. We've all been curtailed with what we'd like to do in the pool or on horseback or wherever. But the key thing here is that the products have supported my ability to train hard and at an incredibly high intensity and recover very quickly. So yes, they're backed by science, and yes, we are very passionate about the formulations we put together. We work with the very, very best formulators, whether it's a flavor thing or actually the raw ingredients. But actually, the key thing here is the proven results is look at the athletes out there from non-Stanford who recovered from a major knee operation to come back to world level. Ben Fletcher, I think, is the classic. In 5 months from a snapped fibula and tibia back to the Olympic Games. And of course, you, me, and many other athletes, both the non-pentathletes, Kate French and Joe Chung, massive fans of the brand. And actually, the whole of the GB modern pentathlon team support YouPerform and use our products. And that just a classic example of multi-sporters who are training hours on hours, turning to YouPerform because the products are quality and they deliver results.
And while you're talking there, James, I'm just in the background thinking to myself, I was, as I said, Director of Research at the British Olympic Medical Centre. I then went on to set up my own clinic on Harley Street called the Centre for Health and New Performance. And effectively what we did is we took the model that we use with elite athletes and we applied it to the general populace. And in fact, now a lot of my work actually is in cancer. I do a lot of work around cancer prehabilitation and rehabilitation, in heart disease and in pulmonary disease, etc. And I think the interesting thing is that we talk an awful lot about elite athletes, but actually, to some extent, we reside along this physiological spectrum. And so for people out there who are listening to us talk now, you don't have to be an elite athlete to get the gains in performance and the benefits from YouPerform. And in fact, if you are just physically active, so going to the gym, a couple of times a week, or if you're doing the Couch to 5K, or if you're thinking about doing park run, or next year you're thinking about doing London Marathon, actually there is a unique and really valuable source of collagen, of protein, and remembering it's not all about YouPerform. It's not all about collagen. Obviously, we've got a whole host of range along multivitamins, along with our active berries, etc., our active greens. So there is a group of supplements with YouPerform which can support everybody wherever you are on that physical activity spectrum, all the way up to elite.
Very much so, and even outside the world of sport, I've had a number of people call me and ask me, can I give supplements or the supplement like the whey and collagen protein to my grandparents? And the simple answer is absolutely. It's very bioavailable for the body to digest. It's easy to use, and it's very, very simple for them to consume without hassle. So
it tastes great.
And that's a major factor.
And it does taste great. It really does.
Yeah. That's the one thing as you know, we've worked very, very hard on their products to make sure the flavor of them is actually really, really good. So it doesn't become a chore to take these supplements on. It's actually a pleasure to take these supplements on.
Which is absolutely crucial.
Yeah. Are you a chocolate or a strawberry man?
I'm a strawberry man.
Yeah, me too. See, I love that strawberry protein.
Yeah.
I've straight out the pool in the morning, down the strawberry protein, absolutely fantastic.
No, absolutely right. Well, listen, mate, this has been amazing. And we're going to come back again, aren't we, to chat more about various other aspects of what we do, what we have done, and actually what we're going to be doing in the future. So I think it's been a great chat. So I've really enjoyed it. It's exciting, isn't it?
It is. It's moving forwards. We're breaking new ground here. We're taking the sports nutritional supplementation industry, and we are leading it forwards with new technology, backed by science, and with products that are literally groundbreaking. And above all, they deliver results. So I look forward to chatting to you again very soon.
I do, mate. I'm off the bike now. So let's hope I come home safely.
Yeah, drive carefully.
Cheers, mate. Take care.
Take care. Bye for now.